Hello and welcome to Restore 2023. We are reading through the Bible for the last 20 months, and today we are in the book of Psalms. And today we're looking at Psalm 120 and 121. Psalm 120 is part of a group of 15 songs that are sung when people would be heading up to Jerusalem for their national festivals. 2 in spring, respectively, the feast of the Passover, the feast of the weeks, to do with the harvest, and 1 in autumn, which was a latter harvest feast, or was called the Feast of the Tabernacles. And these people would go up to Jerusalem, and these songs will be used, and they are a rich compilation of the pilgrims' thoughts and emotions as they face the immediate impact of the journey, but also the worshippers' all of life reflections. Psalm 120 begins with a testimony, but continues with lament. I took my troubles to the Lord, says the psalmist. I cried out to him, and he answered me. Unavoidably, when we face troubles, we're faced with choices: to panic, to rebel, to complain, to manipulate our situation, or to posture our hearts to depend on God to walk with us through this patch. And whether past experiences of trouble or current stresses of the journey ahead, they're both pointing to the fragility of life and also the reality of God's promises to rescue. I've gone down the route of taking the places of Meshech and Kedar symbolically as an expression of alienation. Meshech is in the north near the Black Sea. Kedar is in the Arabian desert. And the psalmist seems to be that he's separated from God's land and God's people. And no wonder he lives among liars. No longer he lives in this world that is separated by God's rule. And that's why we've got these verses. They're a petition for God's help and rescue and justice among deception and conflict. And while lamenting this isolation in a foreign country, he is again immersed in this mindset that he does not belong there. And this is so overwhelming. So overwhelmed by the reality, the pilgrim trusts God as goes up. And the prospect of God's presence in the temple is reassuring. Then we move on to Psalm 121, which is a very popular psalm, and it picks on the external experiences of the journey itself. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Well, it seems to me that the psalmist's question is leading him to settle his heart to face the journey. One thing that is reassuring in this psalm is that the psalm does not hide away, does not suggest that the pilgrim will be trouble-free. But God is near. He's awake. He's the keeper when the trouble comes. So the mountains may be spectacular, and as spectacular as they can also be a threat because they are unpredictable, unsafe, and hard for the journey. Again, that sense of overwhelm which leads the psalmist to recognize that God, the creator of the mountains, and in that case of the whole universe, will provide help, will provide protection, will keep safe the traveler, not only for this immediate journey, but for the whole of life, throughout the whole time. If you were to ask yourself today the opening question, and I realize actually you may not face a physical mountain, but let's take it metaphorically. Life as being going up a mountain. What will your summary of God's acts of protection, help, rescue be in a few words? What will your version of Psalm 121 read like today? Mine is the same as the ends of Psalm 121. Ever since I became a Christian, ever since I followed the Lord, in the ups and downs, I have seen God, the Creator, the Keeper, and the Sustainer of my life.